Okay, our next speaker is someone who's been a friend to Campaign for Liberty from the beginning, someone that I've talked to many times on the phone with editing advice, Tom Wood. Yeah! And by the way, have you ever read anything he's written? Tom is a senior fellow at the Ludwig von Mises Institute. He holds a bachelor's degree in history from Harvard, his PhD from Columbia University. He's a contributing editor to the American Conservative magazine and has appeared on over 200 radio and television programs, including Hannity and Combs, Fox and Friends, Scarborough Country, and the Clinton Beck Show. Yeah. Tom is the author of 9 books, most recently the New York Times bestseller, Meltdown. Obviously, you know the rest of the title. Please welcome Tom Wood.
People are much too kind to me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, of course, it's very encouraging to look out and see so many faces, but I have to start off by saying how discouraged I am tonight to learn how soft Bruce Fine is on our intergalactic enemy. The only conclusion I can draw is he hates the Earth. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy that John mentioned to you that happy news about my book Meltdown, that this Sunday it premieres on the New York Times bestseller list, and then we also have the list for March 8th, which is made available to publishers a week and a half in advance, and it'll be up to number 11 on March 8th. So. Yeah. This is it here. I have copies back there, so my suitcase can be perhaps a little lighter on the way home. But I've been happy to write the books I've written, and you know, I sort of feel like if people profit from them, enjoy reading them, that's a nice thing. But this is the only time I've written a book in which I have felt that it is urgently necessary for the message to get out. Because as a historian, it's easy for me to write books about subjects, you know, took place hundreds of years ago. This is going on right now. And it is essential, first, that we show there is another way of looking at the events unfolding before us in the economy from what Paul Krugman tells us. Oh, and secondly, and by the way, for anybody in the room who doesn't know who Paul Krugman is, I'll just say you are enjoying a more tranquil life than I am. But secondly, it is essential for people who support the free market to learn these arguments so they can defend themselves. And I've heard, unfortunately, so many conservatives trying to pin this whole thing on the Community Reinvestment Act. You're going to get killed out there in debate if that's your argument. You are going to get killed because that is nowhere near significant enough to account for what we're seeing. You need to know the whole story, and the whole story includes, yes, the Federal Reserve System. And you have to learn that. Now is the time. You've been putting it off. Now's the time. So I am hoping to keep the book's momentum going. And you think you guys can help me out on that? Now we're at a watershed in our country's history right now. Historians may look back on this time the way they look back at the New Deal or the Progressive Era or even the Civil War as a time that fundamentally changed the United States. This is what we're living through right now. We're not living through policies that are matters for genial debate. We are living through policies that could threaten the very survival of the Republic. So what we need, therefore, are not half measures, We don't need to rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic. We don't need conservatives to be arguing that the problem with the stimulus is that it's full of pork. The problem with the stimulus is it's based on blockhead economics. I wrote an article on this for the Campaign for Liberty not long ago, and it's linked from my website, tomwoods.com. It's called Tooth Fairy Economics. You might But I'm hearing, though, from some conservatives that, well, you know, if we had formulated the stimulus package, we would have spent more on this or that. Yeah, that's not the problem. The problem is the idea that you can just conjure up $800 billion, scrape it up somehow, print it out of thin air, borrow it from somebody, and this will make us wealthy. There are a lot of fallacies there. This is Keynes with a vengeance. But Keynes, any conservative is supposed to know, was a moron. Is not a little tinkering around the edges. Oh, I wish we hadn't spent $35 million of the stimulus on this or that. Oh, come on. It's like Dick Morris. Dick Morris, this sort of political hack, who every 6 months he's got another one-word title book. And by the way, don't knock one-word title books. But he's always got this one-word title, you know, it's like fleece, you know, or whatever. And you add up all the things he's upset about in the book, and it would add up to about $4.3 billion, not even a drop in the bucket. Who cares? Yeah. And by the way, I attacked Dick Morris not simply because he has a book called Meltdown coming out later this year. It's entirely a coincidence that I meant it. But what we need is full throttle opposition, and that is what the Campaign for Liberty is about. Yeah. Now, the official, so-called, the official conservative movement, such as it is, has not been especially reliable as we've watched our republic be dismantled before our eyes. For example, the editor of the magazine that Bill Buckley founded in 1955 lectured anti-bailout Republicans in September 2008 that they were being, quote, extremely irresponsible. Well, my, they dared to speak out against the brilliant bipartisan consensus being rammed down our throats. How very irresponsible. We can't have that. We need nice conservatives who get along with the establishment, who are welcomed at the cocktail parties. We can't have these irresponsible... How can you possibly stand this and not go out and commit an atrocity? Or other conservatives speak of these bailouts that apparently are going to go on forever as if these are matters of genteel disagreement. So Bill Kristol said, when faced with the $700 billion bailout that later became $800+ billion, he said, quote, I have my doubts about this. Well, that's probably the boldest statement we've heard from Bill Kristol on this matter. He has his doubts. And these are the people who pose as the leaders of the conservative movement. No wonder it's in the toilet. Right.